What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and it looks like all the whining and complaining from the Netflix employees was purely for show. Remember how deeply scarred and traumatic it was for the few, maybe 2 or 3 employees for Netflix who decided to make the Dave Chappelle special all about them. Turns out they were full of it. They never had any legal grounds to stand on. They never had any real trauma. And not only are they out of the company, but they were forced to drop their lawsuits. What a spectacular, truly spectacular event. An event that, we just got to take and give thanks. I went upstairs just a few minutes ago and there was a pumpkin pie baking, house filled with apples or cinnamony, pumpkin-y smell. I felt good. I knew something good had happened, and it turns out quietly, you don't see Twitter talking about it. The protest was an epic fail. These employees were lying about their trauma, and they were forced to go back on everything. Almost as good as getting a sweet deal from Deal Dash. Check this out. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Deal Dash. Look, Christmas is coming and not everyone has the same budget that maybe they once did. Have you ever wondered how to strike the best deals and save up to 90% off brand new items without even needing to leave your home? Look no further than Deal Dash, one of the leading auction sites in the United States with over a decade in business. There are hundreds of auctions daily on brand new items ranging from TVs and laptops to tools and kitchenware and even cars with guaranteed free shipping. All auctions start at $0 and you have a 90-day money-back guarantee on your first bid package. You can use Deal Dash both on the website, dealdash.com, as well as through their iOS and Android app. Use my unique promo code listed in the description and pin comment down below for an additional 100 free bids when making your first bid pack purchase and start bidding. Deal Dash has amazing customer service and they're giving you 100 free bids to start out. Use my link in the description and pin comment below. Happy bidding. Christmas is coming up. St. Nick's Day, if you still celebrate that. I know I do for my pets, but check it out. Netflix employee who criticized Dave Chappelle has resigned. Software engineer Tara Field and her former colleague are also dropping unfair labor practice complaint against the streaming company. What a coincidence. It's almost like they talked to a lawyer or something like that, and that lawyer said, I don't know about saying Netflix isn't inclusive. A Netflix employee who was a vocal advocate against Dave Chappelle's stand-up special, The Closer, has said she has resigned from the streaming company. The employee, Tara Field, and her former colleague, B. Pagels Minor, are also dropping a formal complaint against Netflix filed with the National Labor Relations Board that alleged the company quelled employees from speaking up about working conditions. I'm still waiting for that one Netflix guy who raised his hands to veto to resign from his position. I would never call for it, but, probably be good for him. A labor lawyer representing the 2 Netflix employees said her clients were able to resolve their differences with Netflix. Now, maybe they were paid off. Maybe. Seems unlikely. My clients, Tara and B, are very courageous and inspiring people, and were able to shed light on an important topic in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Wait a minute. Are you saying that it was a frivolous lawsuit? That it was a frivolous complaint that you only raised to, quote unquote, bring awareness? So maybe I should file a lawsuit against, I don't know, let's say Nancy Pelosi in the name of my local veterinary assistance program where low-income families get help with their medical bills. I'll just sue her, It's not really going to be about that. But, people will talk about it. And, of course, if I win the lawsuit, that, when I win the lawsuit, that will be a nice secondary thing, but that's neither here nor there. Attorney Lori Burgess said, she declined to comment on the specifics of the negotiations between the parties, including whether there was any kind of settlement. A representative for Netflix wasn't immediately available for comment. B. Piggles Minor was fired from Netflix last month for leaking financial information, including production costs for the closer outside the company that ended up appearing in a Bloomberg story. Ms. Fields, who uses she and her pronouns, was suspended in October and quickly reinstated by the company for attending an online meeting of senior Netflix executives without permission. She said she resigned as of Sunday. Quote, "This isn't how I thought things would end, but I'm relieved to have closure," Ms. Field, a trans, now former Netflix software engineer. What? Shortly after B was fired for something I did not and do not believe they did, I made a decision, sink or swim, that I was going to walk side by side with B as they had for so many while they led the trans ERG. Ms. Field said, referring to the acronym of the Employees Resource Group. So, to summarize, Tara Field faked being outraged over this, turned it into press, and maybe got a payout for it. I don't know. They then tried to sue the company through a labor dispute. They had no chance at all of winning, so of course they dropped it. The other person who attended a meeting they weren't allowed to and was reprimanded for it still got their job back. And then they came back and they released private information from Netflix to thank them for it. So they were given a second chance by Netflix, and then they screwed them again. Sounds like a real great employee. And of course, none of that has to do with their orientation or their gender or any of that stuff. They just sound like a garbage employee who thinks that their feelings potentially being hurt is more important than the 10,000 other people that work there. They could put the company at risk by leaking personal information, confidential information to the press. Why? Because their feelings were hurt. That's the modern day Zoomer mentality. Not all. You could say it's a millennial thing, but I know too many based millennials to blame, all the millennials. I'm a millennial and I'm not that way. But there are many who, the participation trophy youth. They think that, oh, my feelings got hurt, so this justifies me breaking the law. Before her suspension last month, Ms. Field posted a viral thread on Twitter about Mr. Chappelle's comedy special, which she said goes after the trans community and the very validity of transness. It didn't do that, and even if it did, guess what? He has his right to do it. And by the way, she has every right to complain about it. I get it. Now, I'm just from a different generation or a different stock. Like, publicly blasting my own employer on social media just isn't something, that I ever would see myself doing. I guess you could argue that, like, I complain about YouTube, but that's not really a traditional employer-employee type relationship. It's not like I have meetings there. It's not like other people's jobs or livelihoods. I don't know anybody at the office, so to speak. It's just different. Netflix co-chief executive Ted Sarandos in emails to the staff saying he wouldn't pull down the episode, of course. In closer, Mr. Chappelle said gender is a fact. It is. I don't know why you have to fight that. You can both state that gender is a fact and that transness, that transness exists. You still have a gender. He also was very critical of how the trans community has responded to his previous specials, as well as going after other artists who have made comments or expressed opinions that have been criticized by the LGBTQ community. Stop punching down on my people, Mr. Chappelle said at the conclusion of the closer. In a stand-up routine late last month, he told the audience he was willing to meet with them. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you had to say, my God, how could I not? Mr. Chappelle said. I want everyone in the audience to know that even though the media frames it as me versus a community, that isn't what it is. I never thought it was. he makes some spicy jokes. You know, his latest stand-up is more of like a monologue, in my opinion, or like an essay. It's more than like a stand-up routine. But I thought it was pretty funny that, yeah, we dropped the lawsuit. After the headlines faded, they had to realize, oh man, I'm going to have to pay for this. I might actually have to have a case. Some things just work out. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.